Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles Sabanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Folks, we got some fireworks for y'all today, but before we even get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. So, about a week or so ago, but no, just a few days ago, we produced a topic that was centered on some comments that Charles Barkley had allegedly made, where he said that if LeBron and the Lakers lose in 5 games in round 1, he is no longer a top 5 player, right? And at the time, all of us thought those comments were real. I reacted to them. A lot of people reacted to them. And one of the people that went off on Charles Barkley was Gilbert Arenas. I even think we did a live show about it, if I'm not mistaken. I think we did a live where, yeah, it was a live, where Gil took some personal shots, talked about his weight and all of this stuff. And he really went at Charles. Like, he really he went at him, right? And I even talked to him about him, like, man, these shots, he was like, it's not personal. He said this and this and this. I'm like, it's the guy's opinion, right? So apparently those comments weren't true. And Charles Barkley recently sat down and did an interview on Outkick. And he's not the first one. We actually did an interview, not an interview, we did a show reacting to Michael Wilbon on Outkick not too long ago, which did pretty well. So Charles is on there and they're talking about everything. And then they bring up those comments, which apparently were fake. And he said he doesn't even know where those comments came from. And as he's addressing his comments, he's addressing, you know, where he has LeBron ranked all time. He then brings up Gilbert Arenas. Excuse me. He then brings up Gilbert Arenas. And while he's talking about Gilbert Arenas, he essentially says Gilbert Arenas is an idiot. And in the process of saying that, he's like, just now all of these fools have podcasts and everybody's trying to look for a way to be relevant. And I'm like, goodness Lord, Charles Barkley ain't playing. He is not playing, and he apparently heard some of the things that Gilbert Arenas had to say about him, and he didn't mince one single syllable when he was responding to him. But before we even get into what Chuck had to say, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time. One of the things I love the most is making unforgettable memories with family and friends. And one of the things I hate the most is overpaying for tickets only to find out that there was a better deal out there. That's one of the reasons I started using Game Time. Game Time is the easy go-to app for last-minute tickets to sports, concert, and theater events across 60-plus states in the US and Canada. Game Time saves me time, money, and stress by curating only the best deals, so I'm not wasting a whole bunch of time scrolling through overpriced tickets. Game Time Picks is my favorite tool. It highlights the best value seats instantly. No more guesswork, no more wasting time. For example, I am super excited about this Game 2 matchup between the Los Angeles Clippers and the Denver Nuggets. Here's what I like to do. I turn on all-in pricing so I know exactly what I'm paying for upfront. I check Game Time Picks to find out the most valuable deals. And finally, I pick the ticket I want. I choose between the cheapest deal, the great deal, or the amazing deal. Once you select the ticket you want, you can use their panoramic seat view to ensure you know exactly what you're getting before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and use redeem code CLNS for $20 off. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do now is want to play exactly what Charles Barkley had to say about what Gilbert Arenas had to say, those fake comments, and what he's going to be like working at ESPN. And then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Charles here.
You said LeBron, if they lose that series, shouldn't be considered a top 5 player. You sticking by that?
No, I never said that. First of all, I don't know where that came from.
No.
I've always said LeBron on my list, he's number 7 all time. I got Wilt, Kareem, Bill Russell, Michael and Oscar. I got Kobe 6 and LeBron 7. I've never said I saw fools talking about that. When I said fools, I'm talking like I saw Gilbert Arenas, who's an idiot, talking about, you know, everybody's got a podcast trying to be important and significant. I've said LeBron is the 7th greatest basketball player in my opinion, and that's not like I'm saying he's the 20th, but I didn't care about that series. I thought they would win that series. I was actually kind of surprised. I didn't think they were contenders, but I didn't think they were going to win the championship.
You know, one of the reasons I turned down, and you talk about this all the time, when I was at ESPN, they offered me two different radio national shows. And I said, I don't want to talk about LeBron James every freaking day or Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers or all the bullshit you got to talk about. I don't want to do that every day. Now you're going to ESPN, and you've been critical of ESPN, particularly their coverage of the Lakers. What are your thoughts as this is your last season heading over?
Yeah, Dan, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to say or what to do. I thought I get upset. They're like the Lakers are contenders. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not contenders. Kendrick Perkins, who don't know his ass from a hole in the wall. He's like, the Lakers are contenders. The Lakers are contenders, and I said they're not contenders. And clearly, if you lose in the first round, you're not a contender. But I'm not going to change my personality. Ain't nobody. They can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired.
So you heard what Charles had to say. What are my thoughts about this? Look, I think that what Charles Barkley said is inbound because of the way Gil went at him. All right. I think what Charles said was inbound because of the way Gil went at him. Now, I also think that Gil went as hard as he did at Charles because of his LeBron opinion, which tells you that Gil is a really, 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 really big LeBron supporter. For him to go that hard at Charles Barkley says that he's a really big supporter, which then makes me think, okay, are you judging this thing fairly? Because for you to start cussing out Charles Barkley essentially and saying what you said about him over LeBron James, it's like, bro, you're pretty much like, you're a little bit too much invested into his take on LeBron James. But as I said in the previous show, this is where we are. As a matter of fact, I think this morning I was going through the internet and I came across an article here from Awful Announcing. And it has the following headline. It says, Brian Windhorst, NBA player media largely has failed. And he made some pretty interesting comments that I think we should get into, which ties into all of this. So let's get into that now. So the article continues on. ESPN NBA reporter Brian Windhorst is never shy about describing what he believes are the problems in basketball media. Windhorst has been open about the fact that he believes the lack of storytelling around players and teams in the NBA is part of what has hurt the popularity of the league's on-the-court product. And he isn't afraid to criticize his own network and his colleagues for contributing to the backslide. But in a recent appearance on the Press Box podcast, Windhorst turned his attention to a different trend, player podcasts. Windhorst predicted the end of the player media explosion that has overtaken the NBA and all the sports in recent years, largely at the expense of traditional outlets and broadcasters. I suspect that there will be less player media because player media has largely failed, Windhorst said. There are obviously very successful guys and girls who have done it, but the podcast boom, at least the handing out of the money, seems to have stemmed. And I suspect that we're going to see that peel back a little bit. So you heard what Brian Windhorst had to say. He even believes that the player podcast and all of this stuff may soon go away. And I think that Windhorst brings up a good point. Folks, let's just be honest about it. This thing is run amok. These guys, some of them, and I'll talk about Gilbert Arenas here because I think he actually has a good show, but these guys, some of them were supposed to come in here and really teach us how this thing is supposed to go. They're supposed to be giving us a professional insight into the sport of basketball. And then what we quickly discovered was there was absolutely zero professionalism. Everybody was just essentially cursing up a storm. There really wasn't much thought going into a lot of these things. Not really much preparation. A lot of people felt, oh, we can just go on here, turn on the mic and shoot the breeze and people are going to listen, thinking that, well, just because I am who I am, people will listen. And then you quickly found out that that wasn't working, that a lot of these podcasts were not successful. Very few were. And those that were successful, you could see that they put the planning into it, like All the Smoke, like Gil's Arena. A lot of thought went into that. But let's just be honest, a lot of these guys are just out here blowing hot air. And I think that that's what Charles Barkley's referring to. He's like, everybody wants a platform. Everybody wants to have the ability to have an opinion. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of it out there is hot garbage. The guys in the independent space, we get criticized. Oh, y'all don't know what y'all are talking about. Oh, you guys are just, you never played in the NBA, blah, 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 blah. But it looks like even some of the guys that did play in the NBA be up there just saying a bunch of nonsense. And I think that that's what Brian Windhorst and Charles Barkley's talking about. And I think it's the damn truth. Let's keep it a buck. Just because a guy played in the NBA, that don't mean what he's saying makes sense. Or what he's saying is entertaining. Or he even has respect for the audience that he's trying to deliver his message to. Let's just keep it a buck. So look, guys, these are my thoughts. I think what Charles Barkley said is 100% inbound. I don't think he went out of bounds. I think what he said was fair. And it is what it is. This is what I think. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.